Russian survivor later reported that they suffered about 200 casualties within the first few minutes, almost half of the entire attack force.
All right. Welcome back again. It's your boy Veli, and I'm joined by
Stella,
Prince.
What do you mean, Stella?
his wife.
Exactly. So today we're going to be diving into how U.S. military smoked Russian mercenaries. Like I've always warned you guys, stay the hell away from the U.S. Army. You don't want to listen. Let's see the consequences. Let's dive right into it. Let's go.
First vehicle in the convoy suddenly blew up. The Russian mercenaries knew something was wrong. Their objective, to capture an oil field in eastern Syria,
The mercenaries were like, hold up, something is wrong.
Something just happened.
was supposed to be a routine mission. The enemy, they knew by then, would have fled long ago at the sight of 500 battle-hardened Russian and Syrian fighters. But instead, the attack had come to an abrupt halt, and explosion after explosion shook the ground. It wasn't long before AC-130 gunships, Predator drones, Apache helicopters, and fighter jets were circling over the battlefield, pounding the attackers from every imaginable angle. What the Russian forces didn't know was that the oil field was not defended by any fighters, but by American Special Operations Forces, supported by the most powerful air force in the world. And so, within a few minutes, the routine mission turned into hell on earth and into one of the deadliest engagements for the notorious Russian mercenary group Wagner. To stop the rapid advance of the self-proclaimed Islamic State, the U.S. had deployed troops in Syria since 2014.
That's my
They
guy!
supported the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. A year later, Russia also intervened in the fight against ISIS, but on the side of Assad's Syrian government forces. The SDF and the Syrian army were never seen as allies, but in keeping with the saying, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," both parties at least mostly avoided each other. After years of fighting, both armies managed to drive out the terrorists, and by 2018, ISIS held only a fraction of its original bases. To prevent an unintended conflict between Russian and US-supported armies, a deconfliction line was formed along the Euphrates River, which effectively bisects Syria. In addition, both parties were able to contact each other through special telephone channels that were kept clear at any time. But despite all these precautions, on February 7th, just a few miles from the Euphrates River, the first deadly clash between Russians and Americans since the Cold War occurred. Late in the evening of February 7th, 2018, 500 Russian and Syrian fighters attacked an SDF military base. The base was located about 5 miles east of the Euphrates River and controlled one of the country's main oil fields. Thus, like most oil fields, the area was officially on the Syrian Democratic side of the ceasefire line. But this did not stop the Syrian-Russian troops in any way. The attackers were supported by various Russian-made battle tanks, as well as mortars, artillery, and rocket launchers, with which they began shelling the SDF base without warning. In addition, Russian Air Force aircraft were on standby to provide air support, but initially remained on the ground. However, while everything was initially going according to plan for the attacking forces, the phone suddenly rang in the Russian headquarters near the Euphrates. A representative of the U.S. military was on the line and wanted to know whether Russian fighters were currently trying to take the military base at the Conoco oil fields. Here, not only the Syrian Democratic Forces were under heavy artillery fire, but also their allies, American Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marines, and various support units. After the Russians had explicitly denied the question whether the enemy were their troops, it was clear to the caller. Whoever was currently taking fire at his soldiers, he would feel the full force of the American military in just a few
Since they called to us and, the lies and the denial. So, and I like the message they sent, whoever is behind is going to feel the full force.
moments. The response to the attack on their military base was prompt and tremendous. Even before the Russian convoy reached its starting position for the attack, the first and last vehicles were taken out in a classic ambush maneuver, trapping the forces in the middle. The missiles came from an American Reaper drone, which had been targeting the convoy for some time. However, to the Russian Wagner mercenaries on the ground, the drone was invisible, and they had a hard time understanding where the fire suddenly came from. It didn't take long for more shells to hit, spreading chaos on the battlefield. American artillery, and
You will
HIMARS
never,
rocket
you will
launch.
see, you will never see the U.S. Americans coming. You understand? They will call you as a point of courtesy. You understand? And when all diplomatic channels seems could not yield any fruits, they will come at you, and they will come at you with full force. And that was why they said, whoever it is will feel the full force of the United States of America.
Imagine them feeling the fire shots, looking for actual human beings, but it's just a drone.
It's just a drone. They
level of
control the
technology-
air.
The level of technology that they are at, like other people have not like catch up to that level. So just leave your enemy confused on the battlefield.
Wow.
They bring a knife to a gunfight. Like
Precisely.
Launchers engaged the convoy, inflicting numerous casualties.
Down.
While the Russian forces were still trying to realize what was happening, 4 Apache
There's a
helicopters
position.
appeared on the horizon. Although the gunships were several miles away, no one could hide from their precise infrared optics.
Down.
The laser-guided Hellfire missiles found their target in the Russian battle tanks, while the 30mm cannon forced the enemy infantry to withdraw. Few of them were able to escape the explosive shells, and a Russian survivor later reported that they suffered about 200 casualties within the first few minutes, almost half of the entire attack force.
What?
The reports that are on TV about, well, you know, about Syria and the 25 people that are wounded there from the Syrian army, and, well, to make it
Damn.
short, we've had our kicked. So one squadron lost 200 people.
Saying the F word.
Right away, another one lost 10 people. And I don't know about the third squadron, but it got torn up pretty
just feel
badly
like these
too.
guys have been waiting all
So
year
3
for this
squadrons
Yeah.
took a
moment.
beating.
All out.
The Yankees attacked. First, they blasted the out of us by artillery, and then they took 4 helicopters up and pushed us in a merry-go-round with heavy caliber machine guns. They were all shelling the holy out of it, and our guys didn't have anything besides the assault rifles. Nothing at all, not even mentioning shoulder-fired SAMs or anything like that. So they tore us to pieces for sure, put us through hell. And the Yankees knew for sure that the Russians were coming, that it was us, Russians. Our guys were coming to commandeer an oil refinery, and the
Damn,
Yankees were
effing
holding it.
Russians.
We got our beat rough. My men called me. They're there drinking now. Many have gone missing. It's a total It sucks. Another takedown.
Whoa.
While AC-130 gunships circled over the battlefield, engaging individual targets, large B-52 strategic bombers completely destroyed the convoy. Those who managed to escape hid in buildings, but even there they were not safe for long.
Down.
Late into the night, the attackers were hunted by F-15 fighter jets, whose bombs penetrated even the best cover. The new 5th-generation air superiority fighter F-22 Raptor was also used. But for the soldiers on the
F-22
ground, it no
Raptor,
longer
damn.
made any difference who was pounding them. The Russian contractors did not stand a chance.
This was actually just like
Mini
a
war.
mini war.
Like,
It
they
just
literally
gave.
use everything in their
Thank
arsenal.
you. It just gave the US this chance to explore their machinery
And test
and
their
test
equipment.
the equipment
Yeah.
because
They simply said, you come for me, you are the victim.
Well, like,
I come for you, you are still the victim.
I'm so surprised that they had all this machinery at the base. Like,
No, why
everything
not?
is-
They went completely.
No, they might not be on that base, but once call is, put out, they will come from the nearest base
Base, yeah.
in which it is. That is how it works.
Against the American Air Force. Although there were rumors that some pilots from the nearby Russian air base were asking for permission to take off, the blue-painted Su-34s and 35s remained on the ground. The attackers' casualties were so heavy that in the middle of the battle, one of the Russian commanders called in and asked for a ceasefire, indicating that Russian military was in contact with the attacking fighters after
And
all.
they denied.
A published call from a Wagner mercenary sums up events in Syria. Just had a call with a guy, so they basically formed a convoy, but didn't get to their positions by some 300 meters. One unit moved forward. The convoy remained in place about 300 meters from the others. The others raised the American flag, and their artillery started ours really hard. Then their choppers
The
flew in
person
and
you're
started
making the
f***ing
commentary
everybody.
is really mad with the
Ours
F
just
word.
running around. Just got a call from a pal, so there are about 215 killed. They simply
Yeah.
rolled ours out hard. Made their point. What the ours were hoping for in there? That they'll fucking run away themselves? Hope to
A lot of
fucking
us,
scare
yeah.
them away? Lots of people fucking so bad they can't be fucking ID'd. There were no foot soldiers on the American
It's funny.
side. They simply
It's funny
fucked
though.
our convoy with artillery. When the battle ended early next morning, there was nothing left of the convoy of vehicles. All combat vehicles have been destroyed, with the exception of a single battle tank and armored personnel carrier. Of approximately 500 Russian and Syrian attackers, at least 200 were killed or wounded. One of the mercenaries later reported that in some places they found solidified melted sand and gun barrels bent from the heat.
Damn.
There were no casualties on the American side and no reports of damaged aircraft. Only one of the SDF soldiers in the base at the oil field was wounded by Russian fire, but survived. The incident sparked outrage on both Russian and Syrian sides, but since the Americans had repeatedly reassured themselves through the Russian officials, they could not be blamed.
Yes.
According to intercepted phone calls between the leader of Wagner and Russian ministers, the attack was even said to be an order from Moscow. For Wagner Group fighters, the Battle of Conoco Fields went down in history as Red February and was one of their most humiliating engagements. At least some of them received a medal specially made for this event. It shows a Russian soldier surrounded by flames, heroically shooting at an American Apache helicopter. A scene that probably never took place in this way. The Syrian Democratic Forces and their American allies had successfully defended the base at the oil field and continued to fortify it. The demonstration of their superior air power was meant to be a warning to any hostile forces not to mess with the wrong people.
Exactly.
Interestingly, when Syrian and Russian fighters gathered in the area again about a month later, the Americans once more contacted the Russian commander in charge. This time, it was not long after the end of the phone call that the entire Russian-Syrian fighting force hastily withdrew. For those who made it this far, thanks for watching. If you want to help us produce more content,
don't want the
feel free to leave a
reputation.
like and
They
tell us what you
hastily
think of the
withdrew.
attack on the U.S. base. Did the Russian military know
come
it was
for
their
me,
own
you
mercenaries
learn.
and
I come for
deliberately
you,
sent
you
them to
still
their
learn.
deaths? Or is it just
You
a
know where you
big
learn.
misunderstanding due to the fog of war? Whatever you
Yeah.
think, we're eager to hear your opinion.
Wow.
See, call me anytime, any day. I stand by the United States Army.
I'm actually glad they put a call to confirm if the attack was from them.
Definitely.
And the point of denial was like, okay, wherever this attack is, coming from, is going to feel the heat, and they delivered as such.
And they left those people speechless because, even if they wanted to retaliate, they can't because we called you. It's just like someone, I had a voice in the house, right? I call out your name. You are beside me. I say it's not you. I call out your name. You say it's not you. And I pull out this.
You don't have a rifle, please.
Do you understand? You be like, I'm like, sorry, I called you. You said it was not you.
Yeah.
So anything you see at that point, take it.
That's simple, like facts.
But the way he said, pull out the rifle, just like,
Damn. They control the air.
they
See,
control
when
the
we
sea,
saw-
the land.
You know, one thing, the mercenaries, they were planning like a ground combat.
Yeah, but they
They
got
were so,
surprised.
Like, this flash, we don't do that anymore. But on the air, we're not Eagles, we're flying so
When we
high in
freaking
the
have our Reaper and our Raptor,
air.
what
Our
are you
drones.
thinking?
Drones, like,
Yeah.
Artillery, man's on standby.
Is
to,
it the helicopters
for
were
action.
actually, firing with infrared? And even though they were at a distance, you cannot hide from them.
like, they literally scanning. They don't even normal eyesight. They literally scanning through infrared. Like how do and those bombs, they're like smart bombs. They don't need to be targeted. They
Yeah.
just drop to locate the target. So there's no way for you to hide. Like it's just
They actually locate the target by heat sensors. So they go directly to their target. They are smart. They are smart weapons, man.
I'm just surprised to see the technology difference, like the advancement the US have made over time.
Over,
Like,
yeah.
they're just so superior over these guys.
There was a comment in my comment section that someone actually said something, but I'm going to reply that comment just now. He said that yes, that the US is kind of like superior, but China is kind of like catching up to them. I say in this world, there is never a way. There is no country that will ever catch up to the US when it comes to the military strength. Don't mess with them. You will learn. Thank you guys for sticking around to this part. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this YouTube channel. We'll see you guys on our next video. For now, remain blessed and